Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new...
Hey! Is that a Buick?
Oh, yeah. What else would it be?
I don't know. I'm kind of far away. It could be a Chevy.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Anyway, this is a brand new Buick Encore GX, and today I'm gonna review it for you guys. And you, if you wanted to stick around, I guess.
What? No, I'm gonna go.
Well, okay, I'll see ya. Before we begin, I'd like to thank Jones Buick GMC for allowing me to borrow this vehicle to review. For all your Buick or GMC needs, I'll leave a link to Jones's website in the description below. This Encore GX shouldn't be confused for the regular Encore, which is a separate model in Buick's lineup, though that Encore is built on an older platform, and Buick is planning to phase that out pretty soon in favor of this new GX, which is built on a much newer platform that's designed around the safety and technology. Starting out up front here, you'll have full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, and then down here, you'll have LED fog lights, and your turn signals are actually incorporated right above the fog lights, kind of a unique spot to put those. Then you'll have parking sensors that dot the front of the grille, and if we move to the grille, there is a camera for the 360-degree camera system located right below the Buick logo. Moving underneath the hood in the Encore GX, this is powered by a turbocharged 1.3-liter inline 3-cylinder, making 155 horsepower and 174 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. Moving to the profile, I have to laugh. This is one of the top trims for the Buick Encore GX. It's called the Essence. I love this because it's very similar to the Hyundai Santa Fe I recently reviewed, which was called the Calligraphy. They always have to have these snazzy, fancy-sounding names for their top trims. But moving here to the wheels and tires, you'll have 225 55R tires, around 18-inch wheels. Very nice on the Essence trim right here. And then you'll have a side parking sensor right there. That's nice to see. That helps you when you're moving into tight spots. Marker light right there. And if we move up to the mirror caps, they are body colored with a camera incorporated for the 360-degree camera system. There's blind spot monitoring, and they are power. You also have keyless entry, so if you have the key in your pocket, you just tap that, it'll lock the door, tap it again, and it will unlock it, so you don't have to fiddle for the key. Gas cap back there, pretty standard gas cap. And then as we come around here to the rear, Encore GX all-wheel drive, your Buick logo, and parking sensors all across the bottom. You also have a backup camera right here. Now, there is a button right here to tap and automatically raise the lift gate. That's nice. You have a little cargo storage cover right here that you could take off if you'd like, but there's a lot of stowage back here. You have a spare tire. Does not look like it's a full-size spare tire, but still very nice to have in there. A lot of the times, vehicles come with fix-a-flats, especially if they're tiny like this, so it's nice to see that you still have a spare tire option. And now what you can do is you can also tap this button to close that lift gate. And I'd like to take this moment to highlight the key, which is probably the most interesting General Motors key I've ever seen, if not maybe one of the most interesting of any car. So of course, you'll get lock, unlock, and panic. But the lock has the Buick logo in the center, and so they have like 2 locks. It says lock on both sides. You only have to tap it once. You don't have to tap it twice. But I just think it's so interesting that they have lock there twice, because I guess it wouldn't be as aesthetically pleasing if there was only lock on one of the sides. I think that's really funny. And then you'll also have the button to raise the lift gate right here, and there is also remote start on this as well. That's very convenient. You can also lower the lift gate with the key fob too, so that's really nice. I don't know why they wouldn't just put the Buick logo on the back and then just have a normal unlock button. Let's take a look at the interior. Moving to the interior of the Encore GX.
Is this a Buick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. Just when you thought this review couldn't get any weirder. Anyway, Moving here to the door panel, you'll have your buttons for the window controls, then the mirror controls. Up here you'll have lock and unlock and the power memory settings for the power seats. So you'll have front, back, up, down, and power lumbar. Then down here you'll have the button to open up the lift gate. You can either choose to have it open all the way or 3/4 of the way, or to just not be on at all. So that's really neat. Then down here you'll have your lighting controls. You can pop this out to adjust the lighting, the brightness here on your gauge cluster. Then you'll have your exterior lighting, your fog lights. Then up here, this is actually the button for your digital heads-up display, which is always really nice to see. Now it looks like right now it's kind of fading in and out. It's not doing that in real life. That's just an issue with the camera's refresh rate and the actual heads-up display. What's really cool is you have a digital tachometer you can pull up here with the digital speedometer. Very neat. And then if you don't want that, you can fold it down so you don't have to have that. Then moving into the gauge cluster right here, you will have a small digital screen in the center. It's pretty standard General Motors. It's going to give you basic info like your trip information, your digital speedometer there too, and then you're also going to get music, Bluetooth, navigation, stuff like that. And that's flanked by two traditional gauges, though the lower parts right here are screens, so that's very interesting. And then here you'll have your steering wheel. It is heated, which is really cool. Then you'll have your buttons for the radar guided cruise control, your Bluetooth, and then the controls for that center screen. If we move to the back of the steering wheel right here, you can see there are buttons on the back. That's for volume and channel changing. That's on both sides. And then there is a push button start right here. Nothing crazy to write home about. Don't worry, I assure you, I would tell you if there was something to write home about. And then moving here into the infotainment system, it is not a large screen particularly, but it is very swift, incredibly responsive. It does not lag at all. It's amazing. I'm very impressed by it. You can pull up digital climate controls if you'd like, or you can just use the traditional ones down here. You also have the option to pull up quite a few different cameras. So you'll have your front, back, reverse camera if you want. Personally, wouldn't recommend driving with that front camera on. It's very weird, and I don't think many people will be taking this thing off-road. So I think it's nice that it's there, but not something I would use super frequently. You'll also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and a Wi-Fi hotspot. And then down here you will have your physical climate controls if you want to adjust them manually, heated seats. Then down here you'll have SD card for your navigation, USB-C, USB, and an auxiliary port. Rare to see those nowadays. Then you'll have a 12-volt outlet, and then wireless charging, and a small row of buttons down here. This is your automatic engine start stop, all-wheel drive, a lane keeping assist, traction control off, and then 2 buttons for your parking sensors. This is a pretty standard automatic transmission shifter right here. Put your foot on the brake, you pull back, and you get it in gear. I would expect nothing less from Buick because generally they target an older demographic, and if they had some sort of weird buttons to get it in gear or like a dial, that could be very confusing. So I appreciate the simplicity there. You'll have your electronic parking brake right there, some storage where I've chosen to put the key, and then if we open this up, you can have a little storage cubby and then an even bigger one. So that's nice. They give you this little stowage right there. And then if we move up here to the mirror, looks like a regular mirror. But then if I do this, it turns into a camera, which is incredibly useful. And if I want the regular mirror back, that's all I need to do. Very cool to see that. And then this does have a panoramic moonroof. So very nice there. Let's take a quick look at the back seats. Moving to the back seats of the Encore GX, there is not a ton of legroom back here. I have this seat at about where I would sit in the front here, and I maybe have an inch or two of legroom. I have a fair bit of headroom, maybe 2 or 3 inches, though it's pretty cramped back here. Would not recommend this as a mainline family hauler unless you have really little kids. And then you can fold this down to have an armrest with cup holders, and there is USB, USB-C, and a household power outlet down there. I know you can't see it very well, but it's the household 120 volt. So that's at least nice amenity-wise. Unfortunately, there's just not a lot of room back here, though there is a pretty nice view out of that panoramic sunroof. If anybody pushes the seat back this far, you basically have no leg room. But it's at least nice that there is back seats here for shorter road trips. All right, driving the Buick Encore.
Hey.
What in the world is going on?
Is this a Buick?
Yes, this is a Buick. Okay, question. Have you ever broken into anybody else's car to ask them what kind of car it is?
Nah, it's a Buick thing.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend recently. All right, let's try this for real now. Driving the Buick Encore GX. This is a nice, sporty little SUV that I think rides the line between a Chevy and a Cadillac. Obviously, I believe that's what Buick wants to do. That's kind of their marketplace of mid-level luxury. And personally, I really like it. I think the SUV drives smoothly, it handles well, especially around corners. It's very zippy, and I like how compact this is, but it still feels modern. Much better than the original Encore, which felt pretty dated even right when it came out, in my personal opinion. And you know what? I like Buick. They're generally reliable cars. It's funny, I've had quite a few Buicks in my family, actually. My grandpa had a gold Buick Century. This was maybe a 1999. And then my dad ended up buying a 2001 gold Buick Century. And 7-year-old me thought that I was gonna have to eventually buy a Buick Century because this was some sort of family lineage thing that was going on. But then they stopped making the Century, so I suppose I still could buy a used one. I just always thought that was funny. At family meetings, we'd have 2 gold Buick Centuries, and it was always very entertaining for me. But those were fun cars, even though they were, for lack of a better term, old people cars. They were really comfortable, and I always enjoyed riding in them, and it's no different here. This is still a stylish and sporty SUV, but it's very functional, and the usability is fantastic, especially if you don't really want to use all the technology. There are ways to kind of tone it down, like the heads-up display, for example. You don't have to have that running all the time, so I really like that. That's pretty much going to conclude my driving segment on this. That's pretty much going to wrap up this very wacky Buick review. Now, normally I like to do cutaway jokes, but as I was filming this and then editing it, I noticed, wow, this is really silly. And so I decided to make this my April Fool's Day video, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. On a more serious note, I am a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can leave those in the comment section below. And lastly, I like to read a section of scripture every week. This particular one comes from Colossians 2, verses 6 and 7. Therefore, as you received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in your faith, just as you were taught, abounding in thanksgiving. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Take care.
Do you still have the Buick?
Guys, calm down. No, sorry, I don't have the Buick anymore. I gave it back to the dealership. I do have my next review car outside. It's a Ferrari, if you wanted to go look at that.
Get out of here. Come on, Ken. Come on. Get out of here. I don't even have the Buick. I want the Buick.